Hello, welcome back. Go Ask Sawyer. This is your host, Jamie Sawyer of Go Ask Sawyer, and it is Sunday, which means new episode, new theme, new idea. Today, I'm going to talk about roller coasters and how life is like a roller coaster. How cliche and ridiculous am I right now? But for real, I've been thinking a lot about this, and I kind of went back and looked at all the themes of the different episodes I have done so far and the people I've had on. And everything people talk about or have talked about is kind of overcoming that fear or overcoming the unknown and getting to the other side, and what great, amazing things happen on that other side. So, roller coasters. This last week, I went on a field trip to Great America with our students, and I feel like the adults wanted to ride more of the roller coasters than the kids, but I always forget how terrifying, absolutely stomach in your butt, terrifying roller coasters can be. And every time I would get in the seat, I'd make sure the workers double locked everything. And that first drop, as you're going up and it's like click, click, you're questioning your whole life. Why did I get on this stupid ride? I'm about to die. Why would I do this to myself? This is going to be the end. I hate myself. Like, you question every move, you question everything you have ever done in your life in all of those clicks as your stomach is just completely flipping everywhere. And then you get to the top and you go over the edge and you're like, well, this is it. This is where I die. I'm for sure going to be the one person that falls out of the ride, but you don't. And then it is just so fun and so exhilarating. And if you're brave enough to put your hands up, you put your hands up and you let go. And when you let go, it's like you become a child all over again. And maybe you pass out. We had a couple girls pass out on the ride, which I thought was hilarious. I know passing out isn't funny, but when you're sitting next to someone who does pass out and they're just flopping around, it is really funny. And then you get done with the ride and you look at the person next to you and their eyes are huge and you're like, that was amazing. And you think to yourself, what in the world was I even second guessing? What was I afraid of? And then you go get on the next roller coaster and you clip in and you start going up the hill. Click, click. The whole thing feels like it's going to fall apart. And you start questioning yourself all over again. I did that on almost every ride. I did Superman, Batman, Goliath, Raging Bull, Vertical Velocity, X-Flight, and Viper. Did X-Flight twice. But again, on each of those rides, I question, why am I doing this? This is crazy. This is silly. And I just kept thinking how, again, going back to the cliche statement, roller coasters are life, and that it's those big moments. It's those moments where you're about to have that conversation, maybe with someone that you like, or a friend, or you're about to start a whole new venture. I feel like we're kind of in a moment where people are trying new things, podcasts, they're writing books, they're starting businesses, they're doing all this entrepreneurial work, which is so terrifying. You are putting your most vulnerable self out there for the whole world to see and judge, because we are one world of judgers. We all love to judge everybody around us. But so often we're not willing to, again, look inside ourselves. Why are we so judgy of other people living out their dream? Other people sharing stuff on social media. Hey, I'm working out again, or I wrote a book, or I started a podcast, or I started a business, or I just launched a new website. As I'm saying this, I have so many friends' names popping in my head, and I'm thinking, wow, I am again surrounded by so many brave, courageous, amazing people in my life that have taken something they love, a dream, and made it a reality. They were willing to put themselves out there and have people say no to them so many times. Have people maybe laugh at them. Have people say that's not going to work. And they still pushed past that. They got on their own roller coaster of life, if you will, and they strapped in and they're going up that hill right now and they're about to go over the edge. And I'm sure parts of them are like, I don't know if I want to do this. It's hard. What if no one likes it? What if it doesn't do anything? What if it flops? but also the fact that you are willing to go all the way up to the top and just see what happens. Because so often it's those moments that lead us to our greatest success, achievements, confidence, new relationships, new people. I've also been very reflective of people that are in my life right now that have really poured into me, or who are really showing up, or who are just there to clap. And it just feels so empowering. And I wonder for you, my listeners, what is on your mind? What is on your heart? What are things that you're like, man, if only someday I could? How great of a feeling would it be if you allowed yourself to move through the fear? Have you ever moved through the fear? You've been in that moment. I'm going to try to think of a moment recently where I was just so terrified, but I decided to stay in it. I don't know. I guess I feel like I haven't had too many recently. I'll come back and reflect on that. But one I can think of is way back in high school when I tried out for the pom squad. I think now it's a dance team, but back then it was poms. And you practice the routine and you practice the routine, and it's the time for the tryout, and you know this is it. Like, this is the moment. And you're standing there waiting for that music to come on, and your stomach is in your butt, and you think you're going to throw up, and you're sweating through every single thing that you have on. And I'm sure there's a part of you that's like, just walk off. It would be so much easier to just walk off, but you decide to stay. And it's like fear is trying to hold you back. Fear is trying to distract you. If you get held back, if you get distracted, then you don't get to win. And have you ever really looked around to think, like, how often did I choose to walk off or get off the ride because I was too scared? And it's not always a bad thing, but then think about, how often did you think about, man, if I would have just stayed, if I would have just stayed and pushed through the tryout. I did make it through the tryout, and I did make the team. I know you guys were wondering about that. I made the team. I was on POMS all 4 years, captain my junior, maybe co-captain junior year, captain my senior year. I do wish I still danced. I do like to cut up a good rug every now and then. But sidetrack. How often are we not pushing through that fear, that roller coaster of life? I can think on my hand moments where I needed to leave a job that I didn't want to have to leave, or even I've talked about my divorce before, even getting divorced, that was terrifying. And I knew I was gay. I was so scared to say it because I was so scared. I didn't want to hurt my ex-husband. I didn't want to hurt my kids. I didn't want to hurt my family. Why couldn't I just stay? Why couldn't I just be happy and content where I was? But it wasn't about that. It was, I just knew I wasn't living my truth. And when you know you're not living your truth, but there is nothing horribly wrong, I think those are the moments it's even harder to walk away, because you know there's going to be something different out there that's really going to complete me. Those were moments that I was scared to even say it out loud. I was scared to even say I am gay. I was scared my family wasn't going to accept me. And there were definitely moments I second guessed all of that because people were not happy. And in turn, I was not happy because I was making other people sad. But then there were moments where I was like, oh my gosh, I can finally be who I am. I can finally be me. Ending relationships, knowing it's time, having hard conversations with friends. So as I reflect on my roller coaster of life, I challenge you to reflect on where you are right now. I challenge you to think about, where am I in my life today? And we can go back to all those memes, right? In 1 year, next June, if Jamie came to me and said, hey, looking back 1 year, are you happy where you're at? And I'm not saying content, like, yeah, it's a good time, but like, did you make progress forward? Did you do something you said you were going to do? Or would you look back and think to yourself, why didn't I just start? Why didn't I just start writing? Why didn't I just start teaching myself how to dance? Why didn't I just start watching YouTube videos? Why didn't I just start walking every day for 20 minutes? That roller coaster is going to keep showing up in your life. Those terrifying moments are going to keep showing up in your life. But the one thing I have learned from my friends over and over again, and even from myself, even from my own life, the thing I have learned is that the greatest feeling, the most beautiful moments, the biggest part of your growth lies on the other side of that drop, lies when you are willing to put your hands up and just let go, lies when you are finally willing to speak your truth, to start what you need to start, to even look inside yourself and say, hey, I got some stuff I need to work on. And to even acknowledge what you want. For those of you who are single, do you want to get married? Do you want a life with a partner? Do you want kids? If you could close your eyes and picture your life, what is it, your future, we'll say, what does it feel like? What does it sound like? And then once you get that in your head, are you willing to live your life now as if it, oh my gosh, as if it is already yours? And I think that's where we get stuck. We see this future we want, whether it's a job, a relationship, education, and we're like, yep, that's what I want. But when we look at our life now, we're not living it as our future self. We're dimming our light. We're not having the hard conversations. We're staying in jobs too long. We're staying in relationships too long. We're not willing to say, hey, this is just not for me because my future looks like X, Y, and Z. We are not aligned. So often you see breakups, whether it's a relationship, a friendship, or a job, as a negative. But I've been just reading more and more. How empowering would it be to not have to wait for things to blow up in your face? How empowering would it feel to be able to have that conversation and trust yourself enough and just know that, like, this isn't for me right now. I love A, B, or C, but this is not for me. It just doesn't make me feel good, or it's not aligned with what I want. I want to move to Colorado. I've said this. I know I want this. The time is getting closer and closer. I get a little bit more scared as I talk about it. I looked into education. I started looking into education in Colorado. It's a very low paying state, which I was like, well, that sucks. So do I stay in education and move, or am I supposed to do something else? I have a new project I'm going to start working on, and I feel really, really good about it. I know it's going to take time to put it all together, but I'm excited about it. It's like, that's my new roller coaster right now. As I clip in, I immediately think, who am I to start this? Who am I to have anything to say? Who am I to think that I could be a coach for someone? We'll say more of a life coach. Who am I to think I could be a writer and I have things to say? But then at the same time, you look around and everyone's doing it. So how could you make it your own? And that's what I'm really focusing on. All these things that I do want to do, I feel like I'm good at. I'm trying to figure out how to make them my own in my own authenticity. My new roller coaster has already made me question a few things in life. My new roller coaster has already made me second guess, like, I don't know if I want to be on this ride. Maybe that's another question for you. You've been riding the Raging Bull for 10 years and you're like, I'm kind of tired of this ride. Are there other rides? But you know this one so well. You know every drop, every turn, every click. You know where to put your hands up. You know where to put your hands down. You know where to smile because you know where the camera's at. And that is, my friends, what we call comfortability, which kills all joy, which kills all creativity, and which kills all growth. Getting on a new ride is very scary because you have to trust. You don't even know. Trust the unknown. Walk into the unknown. I'm going to challenge you this week. I'm going to take the same challenge. Every time you want to say yes, I'm going to challenge you to say no and see what that feels like. And every time you want to say no to something, I'm going to challenge you to say yes and see what that feels like. Now, if someone asks you to steal a car, please say no. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking more about maybe going to hang out with someone new or try something new, new food, a new experience, a new restaurant, a new activity. If you want to say yes, say no and see what that feels like. If you want to say no, say yes and see what that feels like. I think we need to shake some things up. Summer is here in full effect. If you're listening to this somewhere else, Milwaukee, everybody is outside. Propane tanks are sold out. Food is sold out. Everybody is everywhere. How can you make this summer a time of getting on a new ride for yourself? And I'll leave you with this too. I listened to this podcast this last week. Quote of the day is what it's called. It's a great podcast, very short, little tidbits of knowledge, and then it's done. And I listened to one about how so many people quit when they're like 3 steps from success, 3 seconds from success, one more turn from success. What is something that you are about to throw the towel in for? You are about to self-sabotage. What is that ride that you are about to get off because you're just either too scared, you're over it, you're allowing everything in your head to tell you it's just not the right time or not the right whatever. If you just stuck it out for one more ride, put in one more week, showed up one more day, is success just on the other side for you. Don't be that person that gives up. Be that 1%, 10%. What is it? It's a small percent that push through the boring, that push through the doubts, that push through all the people judging you, which, by the way, everyone is going to judge you. Whether you are successful or not, everybody is going to judge you. It's just who we are as humans, mostly because we're unhappy with ourselves, so we need to judge other people. But what about just fill yourself up with so much confidence and so much amazingness, and just think, none of these people out here are doing what I'm doing. Or maybe they want to do what I'm doing and they don't even know how to start. And their judgment is really just jealousy because they don't know how to just be happy for you. Lots of things to think about. If you made it to the end, a couple things to remember. Number one, maybe what roller coaster ride have you been riding for too long? You need to get off. What ride do you want to try but you're scared? And how often are you willing to get off the ride before like the joy and the excitement and the drops and the spins and the flips that you know when you get to the end of that ride, you're going to look at that person next to you, unless they're a stranger, and think that was amazing. And also, how often when you really do follow through with something, do you think to yourself, oh, I shouldn't have done that? It's always the regret that says, I wish I would have done that. Anyone that follows through with a dream or a want always says, I am so happy I did that. And it's one more way to learn to trust yourself. All right, y'all, have a great, beautiful week. Please be kind. And if you can't be kind, ask for forgiveness and move on.